Timing doesn't start on New Game, by the way. It starts at a later point in the intro cutscene. Ready? Alright. So this is a Machine for Pigs. This is quite a game. With frictional games, horror games in particular, glitchless categories are just very arbitrary to even try and define. You'll see that with a couple of tricks later on, or at least one trick. So I could try to explain the plot, but it's really hard to explain, actually. Just know that it's Amnesia. It's spooky. This particular part of the intro cutscene makes no real sense either.
Please don't kill me.
So I guess I could try to explain it. We're currently in a nightmare sequence right now. That's basically it. I don't exactly know how to explain the story. Like I said, it's really confusing. Oh yeah, timing starts, by the way, in a few seconds. A line of text will come up on the screen as a subtitle saying "Daddy, Daddy." As soon as that text appears, time will start. And I'll of course say go. And start. And we start timing there because this is technically the first point of the game where we really have control of the main character. Didn't understand the plot when I played it either. Well, glad you're in the same boat. So yeah, we play as this guy named Oswald Mandus, and we wake up from that nightmare sequence in our bed. Basically, there was a really tragic expedition in Mexico or something like that. Again, I forget all the details. It's going to be really hard to explain the plot. So I guess I might as well just not bother. So, we gain control here after the Machine for Pigs logo appears. You might think that this is the point where we start time, but technically the first point where we gain control was in that first little bit when we were in our bed. So yeah, movement in this game is a lot. I don't know if it's more complex than Outlast, but I don't know how to describe it. It's just very different from Outlast. The first thing is that you can actually rebind jump to 2 keys. So I have them bound to both scroll wheel directions. Part of that is because for any percent, having mouse wheel bound to jump is required for geometry boosts, but geometry boosting is banned in this category. So I'll just be going through this first map, which is called Prison 1, very quickly. So whenever there's slowdown events like this, you want to try to spam jump in order to go a little bit faster. It's really only useful when you're going upstairs. That's about it. Like for example, at the beginning of this map, there will be a slowdown trigger. Or, not a slowdown trigger, but a slowdown event I want to try to jump through. Ideally, with loading screens, you spam left click in order to clear the flavor text there as quickly as you can. And like with the original Amnesia, jumping both up and down stairs is faster than just running up them. So like with the original Amnesia, there's puzzles to solve, but they're not that difficult to solve at all. And a few key differences between this and the original Amnesia is there's no inventory, and this lantern that I have here has infinite energy compared to the lantern from the original Amnesia where you have to refill it occasionally with oil. Wasn't sure how to explain that there, so I tripped myself in my own words. So in an actual PB attempt, I would skip getting the lantern that I picked up in the first map, and I'd pick it up in this one. But I figured just so you guys could see what I'm doing, I'd pick up the lantern in the first map. Another soda event here. It's actually very slightly faster to just spam jump during this in order to get a bit closer to this door. Slow, please. I have actually experimented with a routing idea where I skipped getting the lantern altogether in order to hopefully squeeze out a little bit of time that way, but some of the later areas of the game, like church, is very difficult to navigate through without the lantern because it's very dark. And in subsequent chapters of the game does try to insert lanterns on different objects, kind of as a way of saying, you kind of need the lantern. I speedrun some of the Fatal Frame games, Tiffany, actually. Speedrun the 2nd and 5th games in that series. Oh yeah. So like with Outlast, I'll mention a list of banned glitches. I mentioned that normally in 90% there'd be a trick where you geometry boost off certain objects by spamming jump with scroll wheel. That's banned, and of course out of bounds tricks are banned. And there's a trick called jacking, where, for example, there will be a gate in a map called Cellar, or not Cellar, but Alley, which is the map after this one, where there's a gate where normally you'd have to get a gas can for a truck that you'd have to turn a crank on to push the truck out of the way, and then you'd be able to push open the gate that way. But you can just push open the gate without doing that with a certain positioning. The out of bounds tricks in this game are actually really cool. I'd say it's on par with Outlast out of bounds. Generally, any first-person horror game with out of bounds tricks I tend to enjoy, as far as the speedrun is concerned. Game's lagging really bad, but kind of expected that.
We know the way.
Yeah, a little geometry boost off those pipes. You can just run off that ledge there with the correct positioning. It's not that precise though. Oh, I got stuck on a bit of geometry there, but that's fine.
I told you he'd come.
Oops. Accidentally took my mouse off the valve. Took my cursor off the valve there. Alright, so now we'll be going to Alley, or the collar of the neck, the noose. Alley is the area where I tried to incorporate that jacking trick that I mentioned in previous routes, but it was determined by the community to be a glitch. But there is a trick we'll be doing in the factory chapter that is kind of borderline, but it was determined recently by the community to not be a glitch, so it was allowed in runs. Okay, we're doing a little jump over this railing to save a little bit of time, and we got it. And the thing with fall damage is, ideally don't take much fall damage at all during this run. Like with the original Amnesia, the more fall damage you take, the slower you move. So you want to try to avoid taking fall damage as much as you can.
Come on, Papa. Let's climb this one. I can see more pictures at the top.
This is the gas can that we need to power up the truck that we need to move to progress to the end of the chapter. Or not, I say chapter, but I really mean area. Do a quick jump here over this wall to save a bit of time. And you'll hear some pig noises in the background, which are the enemies of this game, but they aren't actually there. You don't have to worry about them possibly attacking us. They're perfectly harmless. It's just there to scare you and to add to the tension. And once you fill this thing with oil, it weighs a lot more, and you end up jumping at a shorter height. So you want to... I dropped the gas can there when going up those boxes, just so the box doesn't slow me, or not the box, but the gas can slows me down. Put the gas can in, and now we can move this truck by turning this crank. If you actually push this guy up against the truck hard enough, it counts as a... What the heck? Please don't tell me I soft locked. But hey, we're past the area anyways. If I can get past through this gate. So I ended up having to resort to jacking there to get through the gate because for some reason I soft locked. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's funny how this is a marathon of glitchless categories, and in order to get out of a soft lock or sticky situation, I had to do a thing that would count as a glitch. Man. But hey, I won't fret over it. So I was trying to mention with that truck, if you push the gate against the truck hard enough, it will actually move the truck. And it looks pretty silly when that happens. This is also the best church known to man. And you'll see why in just a second, if I can get to this door. Because instead of worshipping a god, That's again the religion. Ooh, this church worships a pig. He died for your breakfast. Pay your respects. Just keep that in mind whenever you eat bacon in the morning.
Listen, Papa. Hold the egg to your
Another
ear.
slowdown event, but we can kind of jump against the ceiling here in order to give ourselves a little bit of a boost. Just making our way down here. And that's our first enemy of the game, which is called a man-pig. But they're pretty easy to avoid. There's even a boss we'll be doing later on that involves fighting a man-pig, but that one's not. Now, even the boss is not that hard to deal with. Kind of like Outlast, enemies in this game are easy to avoid. So in this map, we'll be doing the skip that I mentioned earlier. That is kind of borderline, but it looks really cool if I manage to get it. So hopefully I get it fairly quickly.
Too bony! It's too damn bony!
Alright, so for the skip we need a lucky volunteer, which is this chair. We'll be jumping on top of this chair to get over an invisible wall. And by doing the skip, we will get straight to the end of this area. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long, but it's a fairly tricky skip. Let's set up the chair here on these boxes. Okay, hopefully I get it. Oh dang. So I'll have to set up the chair again. Alright, that should be good on me. Although I may have to, yeah, I'll just shift it to the right here, left here. Dang it. That should work. Dang it. I think I'm just jumping at the wrong time is what I'm doing wrong. And even if I fail to skip a few times, it's still significantly faster than going through this area normally. So I'll go for it until I get it. And we got it there. So yeah, we go over an invisible wall, and we're already at the end of the area. Just like that. That saves about, I think about 2 minutes, maybe 3, compared to going through that area normally. And the reason it's so borderline is because it kind of looks like we're going out of bounds there, but we're really not. Yeah, now we'll be going into tunnels or in the nest of eggs. And in this beginning section here, which is essentially an auto-scroller, I don't move my mouse, because if you do move your mouse during this little auto-scroller, once you wake up from this little crash here, right there, your cursor will get put in a position that is not very optimal. But if you don't move your cursor, it will end up in the same spot every time. Like so. And I'll jump over this railing here on the stairs to save a bit of time. Kind of like with the railing jump I did in Alley. Don't worry about that monster, he's not actually real. He doesn't actually have collision if you get close to him like I did there. So the entire point of this section is to create a chemical in order to melt a lock, which is currently locking a door that we need to go through to get to the next area, which is the sewers. Try to get a geometry boost off that pipe. Got a very small one, but still helps.
You could dump him in the river for all I care.
Yeah, exactly, Slowa. The way different communities define glitchless is very varied. It's very different across every community.
Over there, place it in the corner. What?
As soon as that door closes,
Do I look like an
go back here to open this door.
Who gives a damn what it contains? Just set it down carefully and leave me be.
You can do another railing jump here, it's a very minor time save. I unfortunately failed it there, so I pretty much lost all the time I would have saved from that. But it's fine. Yeah, exactly. So anyways, you have the two canisters of, I guess, chemical fluid. We'll just be putting them in here to create the fluid or the chemical that we need in order to progress. There we go. Something that throws me off is I have my jump key bound to both scroll wheel directions, but those are also the keys that are used for zooming in an object. Zooming an object in and out whenever you're in sort of inspection mode, as it's called, where you can rotate the object. And if you scroll the item away too far while you're holding it, you drop it. So I had to make a conscious effort not to zoom it out too far. Oh, I tried to cancel or avoid fall damage there by grabbing the ladder, but failed. It's fine though. Generally, if you end up taking more damage than you intend to, it's not that big of a deal, especially when you don't have that good of a time. And now begin sewers.
Isn't it dangerous allowing this filthy discharge to collect so close to the core?
We can use the flow to drive the turbines.
So like I briefly mentioned earlier, it's faster to jump upstairs
We can use this to supplement the
rather than when you're on the ground with slowdown events like this.
This fecal matter is the true product of the age.
Oops, got caught in a corner there. So we have to drain the water here a couple of times in order to progress to later areas of the sewers, which is what I'll be doing here. You do come across another man pig, but he doesn't actually try to hurt you. Jumped a bit early there, so I ended up hitting that sign. That, by the way, is the man pig I mentioned just earlier. The out-of-bounds section for this chapter is actually really cool, because it has some pretty treacherous jumps off these pipes that I'm about to go into in order to hit the load zone for the next map, which will be Bilge. And I agree, Sloa. And we're not quite at the pipes yet. We have one more door to open right here. So as I go down these pipes, I want to try to grab the ladder to avoid taking fall damage. Which so far I've been doing a decent job of. I did take fall damage there, but didn't take that much. Alright. Also, in this map, Bilge, we'll be seeing the first instance of a trick called quick climbing. Normally, when you go up ladders, you're supposed to just slowly climb up it, but you can jump off the ladder and re-grab it. And with really fast inputs like I'll be doing here with scroll wheel, you can get up ladders very quickly. It's really useful. And it is not banding glitchless, even though it might look like a glitch because I'm spamming scroll wheel to do it. Because you're not doing an intended action by doing that. Doing it with the scroll wheel is kind of a gray area, but it's generally allowed. As in the trick itself. Dang, I tried re-grabbing the ladder, but I grabbed it too late. So the water monsters, who you might remember from the original Amnesia, Dark Descent, they appear again in this area, but we can pretty easily avoid them. Can you grab the gear, please? Thank you. Grabbed the ladder too late there, but it's fine. I didn't take that much fall damage. Oh, whoops, I accidentally let go of left click there. My bad. And now moving on to Reactor, where we get the big plot twist of the game. So that aforementioned machine in the title is now talking to us. It's a really strange plot point, and I personally don't entirely understand it myself. It just makes the plot even more confusing. Also, that's the machine, by the way, or at least the reactor for the machine. The actual machine we'll get to see in the last map of the game. And I kind of meme about this game's plot being really hard to understand, but it's actually a really good game. Especially if you enjoy the first Amnesia, I highly recommend playing this. I believe it's only like $10 on Steam, so you're not missing out on much. Flip this thing open so we can turn on some switches. Also, the quick climbing is a bit more annoying when you have the lantern out, because the lantern equips and unequips every time you grab onto the ladder. So when you spam jump and left click like that to, or jump and interact like that to get up the ladder, it sounds really goofy. So we turn on all the switches, so now we can go to the main room, where we'll be flipping a couple of levers, and that puts us into about a minute or so cutscene. You can push this lever a bit forward before you can actually move it. I don't know if that actually saves time, but I think it does, so I do it. So yeah, we have a little cutscene here where we're basically tricked by the machine into unleashing the man-pigs that we saw earlier into the streets of London.
Spin the world wheel and set the future upon the path to redemption. Where are my children? You promised me my children. My time is come. More pig. More pig.
Boys, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
More pig, more pig. Like I said, I meme about the plot of this game being just not very understandable, but it actually is a pretty good game. The ending especially is one of my favorite parts of the game, and pretty much my favorite ending of any horror game. More pig. Oh, that's my new motto right there. No clear message behind it, just more pig.
And, emerging, I raised my head to an uncaring sun, and I cursed this world of pain and despair. This civilization built on the ricketed bones of the unfortunate, on the greed and swell of mammon and empire. Cradling a stone egg in my jacket, I kissed my children farewell, and I crawled my way home.
pull these fuses out, and then turn this thing, or not that thing, but move this switch right here. Trying to interact with those objects quickly is actually a lot more difficult than it seems because of the camera shaking that occurs every time you interact with those things. This is supposed to be like a prequel to the original. It's more like an indirect sequel. There is actually one particular, it's not like mentioned anywhere, but there is like one, I think it's a poster in the factory area that sort of briefly mentions Daniel and Alexander. So there's like a small link there. Not like a direct link by any means.
Did I say that? That is not me. That is not me.
And it's an indirect sequel rather than a prequel because this takes place 60 years after the original Amnesia. So yeah, we have to pull these pipes and then left click this glass panel coming up here. I will open up some pipes that we'll be getting into to leave this area. And of course we'll be doing more quick climbing to get up this ladder quickly. You do take damage in this in these pipes, but it's unavoidable pretty much. Right there. Even then you don't take that much.
I will stop you. I will save
I don't get the story of this game. Me neither, man. I have somewhat of an idea of what the plot is, and I could try to explain it, but even then, it's still a really confusing game. So yeah, I did mention that earlier in the reactor map, we were tricked by the machine into releasing the man-pigs that we saw earlier, or saw a bit of earlier, onto the streets of London, and that's what this map is about. It's just a game with pigs. Yeah, exactly. No further explanation needed. Also, my frame rate chugs really badly in this area, so apologies if the game ends up slowing down on stream. I don't have an FPS counter up, but it usually gets in the 10s to 20s in that little bit there.
No! This is not what I meant! This is not what I meant at all!
Redeem yourselves. Redemption is at hand. Enter the cleansing and set your souls free. For you are born into filth and will die as pigs. Only through my redemption can you ascend to the skies and claim the heavens as your kingdom.
And that's where the subtitle of this game comes from. There's like a big sort of metaphorical plot reason for that name, or that subtitle of the game, but again, that would take a while to explain because of how confusing this game is.
Beast! Creature! Where are my children? Where are my children?
So now I'll be doing Pig Line, which is actually the longest chapter of the game. I keep saying chapter, I really mean area. The main reason being there's just a whole lot of stuff to do. The second longest chapter to this is the last chapter of the game, which is called Temple. Oh, by the way, we're in the last 4 maps of the game, starting with this one.
Will they be free? Yes, my friend. Drained and bled and freed from the prison of the flesh. Free to ascend as smoke to the stars.
And the good. The word. How will we save them?
Show me these worthy Mandus. Show me...
There is actually 100% for this game, technically. Kind of like Outlast, there's notes placed throughout the game. But no one's done very many runs of that. I believe there's only like a couple of people that have actually done it. And it's not as interesting as 100% in some of Frictional's previous games, though. Penumbra 100% with Black Plague is actually pretty interesting. That's about it, as far as Frictional games 100% runs are concerned. So we turn on the electricity there by pointing the thing at the thing. That kills this man pig so he doesn't try to hurt us. And if you do try to jump in the water there while there's still electricity going, you will get hit. Like earlier, these things are hard to interact with because of the camera constantly shaking. As soon as I flick that last switch, I can just leave. Because as soon as I hit that switch, the game flags that the water is no longer electric.
I will destroy you.
You are too late, Mandus. My great works are...
Yeah, try to grab this ladder here in order to avoid fall damage, which I did. Cool. And it's very slightly faster, or actually significantly faster, to spam jump throughout this entire thing, because this particular slowdown event makes you move really slowly, and constantly spamming jump, as slow as it might look, actually does save quite a bit of time. And this particular section is why this map is really long.
I can meet him, your great engineer. How marvelous. I must say, Mr. Mandus, my excitement is ostensible.
Yes, I can see that. Step this way, Professor. I will be right behind you.
Mandus? Mandus, where the devil are you? I can't see a damn thing. Mandus! We are the pig, Professor. We are all the pig.
I believe it's slightly faster to spam jump in this little slowdown event as well. So I do it here also.
I carry the knife of this factory, the bowl of this mill. I am come to collect you from your fields and your furnaces. I will gather you into the white clouds. I will gather you to me, and I will take you home.
Terry, I think you'll like rheology. Makes me really happy to hear that. With this game in particular, I didn't really have commentary planned. I just basically wanted to improvise. Kind of lost. Well, if you're talking about the plot, then you're not alone. The end goal is to get to the machine. The creator of this... Yeah. There's like a big metaphorical reasoning behind the plot. Again, I could try to explain, but it's all really confusing. This map, by the way, is where we get to do a boss fight with a man-pig that I mentioned earlier. He just passed us to the left there. And hey, there's our kids again. Alright, so the boss fight isn't that tricky. We just have to hit a couple of switches and it's over. He can be a little annoying and try to hit us while we hit these switches. So hopefully it doesn't go too badly. Uh-oh. Okay, got close to it, but we managed to avoid him. It's probably going to hit us here, but... Okay. So we managed to do that boss fight without getting hit, which is good. Even if he manages to hit you like once, you're generally okay. Alright, so that same pig will reappear again in this map. And it's actually a fairly difficult section if you don't know where to go. And in fact, when I first ran this category, I was a little confused at where to go whenever I did this map. But it's not that hard to navigate through. And there's a couple of ladders we have to go up here, so we'll do some more quick climbing, as always. Uh-oh. Wasted a little bit of time there, but that's fine.
All of my sins washed clean. I love you, my darlings, and I am sorry. I am sorry for all I have done. I simply love you all too much of this world.
Mantis, put aside your misguided crusade and let me save them. You may hate me, Mantis, but I have seen the future, your 20th century, and let me tell you this, a far greater slaughter awaits you there.
So this is the chase sequence I was talking about with the man-pig we encountered earlier. He's pretty easy to avoid though, as long as you don't get lost. By the way, what is my time currently at right now? Just out of curiosity. $48.29, okay. So this won't quite be an RTA PB, but I was kind of expecting that with the factory skip. Why, RTA actually might be. I don't know. Yeah, it's actually definitely will be. Because I think right now, what is my time currently at? Because basically once this loading screen clears, it's about 3.5 minutes until the end of the run. 49.12? Okay, well this is going to be an RTA PV. But getting that RTAP was literally free because of this factory skip that I didn't implement before. Could have been a lot better though.
Please, I am no more evil than you. We sought the same thing, to save humanity, ridding them of their painful, stupid, pointless lives.
I'm gonna try to get a little boost here by moving backwards after falling off the sledge. I got like a very mediocre boost. I don't know if that counts as a glitch, so I do it anyways. What would happen is, from that little movement I did by backing up against the wall there, would have gotten a huge boost and would have propelled me along this conveyor belt. You can move against these things to give yourself a little bit of speed. There's another way to gain speed on this conveyor belt, but I'm not very good at it. I end up wasting time trying to do it compared to the amount of time it would save. And this is why this game is really good, because I really like this ending. I have a meaning when I say that, it's actually a pretty good ending. And there's the machine that we've been searching for the entire game. And we get a little monologue here from the machine. Again, I try to explain the plot, but as I've said, it's very, very confusing.
I have dug trenches for the refugees. I have murdered dissidents where the ground never thaws and starved the masses into pain. A child's shadow burnt into the brickwork.
Twitch? No delay? Yeah, right. I know, right?
The innocent Manders trod and bled and gassed and starved and... This is your coming century. Into your ribs, and they will eat your hearts.
Music in this last bit of the game is really good. It's on par with the Outlast soundtrack, I'd say, if not better. Alright, so coming up will be time. In order to stop the machine from basically destroying civilization, we decide to sacrifice ourselves. And we'll be pressing a button here in just a second to do that. And time will be when I press the button. I'll have to click here to interact with it as quickly as possible. And... time. So I'm assuming that was, yeah, 5246. That is an RTA PD. My load times are usually 5 minutes without loads. Yeah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes less than my RTA time. So I don't have a timer running right now, but I imagine that was probably a 47 without loads. Also, before I leave, I do want to show you guys this ending, because it's my favorite ending of any horror game. In a way, it's actually pretty moving.
I lay there and watched the god I had created die. At the end, when we were cold as the stone we had hewn his body from, when the lights were nearly all extinguished, we heard, in the silent distance, the man-pigs singing to one another. Then, as the last lights were gone, and we lay together in the deep, they drifted away, and all was silent. Such a silence I have never known. And as the dust settled on my open eyes, and we lay together embraced forever. I heard, miles above us, the sounds of the city turning over in its sleep. A church bell ringing out. And in that moment, the new century was born.
Alright. Alright, so I'll just cut the stream here momentarily because we're a bit behind schedule, as I was just notified. But yeah, that was Outlast and A Machine for Pigs. Both are pretty chill runs and really fun runs to do. Hope you guys enjoyed that.
All right, that was